6 months ago, she did not have made her debut for Australia. She did not have a domestic title at that point in time. But cut to April 3rd, 2022, Alana King has a WBBL title, Ashes Trophy in hand, as well as a World Cup medal. Today and now she is in India for the Women's T20 Challenge. Thank you so much, Alana King, for joining the New Indian Express, taking your time to talk to us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be in India.
So, how has been, the last 6 months? As I just said, at that point in time, of course, in 2021, you reached the final with Melbourne Stars in the WBBL. But that said, you did not have a domestic title in hand or any kind of trophy in hand. But now, 6 months down the line, sport has its way of making things for people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a crazy 6 months, I guess. As you said, haven't had a domestic title in ever, I guess, and then I was managed to have that with the Perth Scorchers in the WBBL. So that really kicked off the summer. Just how everyone obviously dreams of, and then getting included in the Ashes squad, and then to win the Ashes series, and then also getting included in the World Cup, and winning the World Cup. It's been a pretty big 6 to 8 months, I guess, and something that I think I'll be remembering for a very long time in my career and well after my career.
If someone had told you, back in November that this is how the next 6 months are going to be, would you have believed
it? No, not in my wildest dreams, to be honest. I think moving to the Perth Scorchers from the Melbourne Stars was a big enough move and a big enough change for me. And if someone had to say, "Oh, you'll have all these 3 accolades by the end of the summer," I would not have believed them one bit. I would have been like, "You're joking," but good try. But to sit in this position that I am today, it's pretty surreal, and I'm pretty fortunate and lucky to be where I am today.
Looking back, did you expect, the international call-up at the time that it came? Obviously, you had been consistently performing in the WBBL and played a crucial role in the Melbourne Stars campaign in 2021 as well. But did you feel that you were in the reckoning for the Ashes or the World Cup, because the India series had just happened and you were not a part of it?
No, not at all. I think I try to focus on what's in front of me, and at that stage it was for the Perth Scorchers, and try to do as much as I could to help us as a team be successful as we possibly could, and that was awesome in raising that trophy at the end of the tournament. So I try not to look too far ahead, but my prime focus during that tournament was to hopefully get to that final and to lift that trophy with the great bunch of girls that I've got around me.
Back in 2019, you had spoken about, the dream of receiving a phone call on a lazy afternoon about getting selected for the Australian team, and then, letting your family know. How did it actually happen in reality?
Yeah, it was in Perth. It was a scorching hot day in Perth. And yeah, I just got the phone call in the afternoon, and it was probably the best phone call, I guess, a cricketer could have when they get called up to their national team. So I'll remember that day very vividly. It took some time for me to actually process that phone call, but I was straight onto the phone to my family back in Melbourne to share the good news with them, which was, yeah, there was a lot of joy. Obviously, so much relief, I guess, because they know how much I've put in, like the hard work. I've moved states to hopefully, pursue that dream. And yeah, here I am. I'm living that dream, and it's taking me to places like India, which I'm very grateful for, and I'm looking forward to the experience.
It's not just about getting to play for Australia or making your T20 debut as you did first. You played your first Test match as well, getting your baggy green. Getting to play a Test cricket in women's cricket is not a normal thing. Not many superstars from other teams have had that opportunity. So, how was that? Especially getting the baggy green from being someone who has been with you through a lot of your journeys.
Yeah, I think as a kid, everyone watches Test cricket on their screens, and I know I did a lot of that in my younger years. And then slowly the white ball game, I was interested in that. But yeah, I think Test cricket was the pinnacle of summer in the Australian cricket dressing room, I guess. So to be able to be one of many players, I guess, in the both male and female teams to wear a baggy green, that was a pretty special moment. And as you said, that Kristen Beams presented my hat, who was a massive mentor for me when I just was coming up in the Victorian setup. And I learned a lot from Beamsy, and she taught me so much. And I'll forever cherish what she's showed me in my younger years, because that's obviously paid dividends now. And it was a very special moment between us. And yeah, I was pumped. And it was a bit emotional when she presented my Australian Test cap, because she presented my Victorian cap as well. So there's a great bond between us, and yeah, it was a special day.
And then the World Cup came along. It also kicked off with a brilliant match between New Zealand and West Indies. But just before your match started, entire cricketing fraternity were in for a shock. Uh, how was it, waking up to that tragic news of the untimely demise of Shane Warne?
Yeah, it was a pretty big 24, 48 hours, I guess, for Australian cricket, because the previous day we woke up to the news of Rod Marsh passing, who was a great of Australian cricket. So for us to try to, swallow that tough pill that he passed, and then the next day that the greatest leg spinner of all time has passed, and one of Australians' icon, I guess, of the game has passed. It was quite difficult to process, and girls just processed it differently. There was a bit of a somber feeling, before we left for the ground, but Modi spoke to us once we got there. It's a time that we can recognise, what it's been a sad time, but if we can put our best foot forward, we're going to be providing some good quality cricket for people back home to enjoy, obviously, in what was a sad time. So, which we did. It was against England, of course, and I'm sure plenty of Aussie fans were very happy that we got that crucial win over our arch rivals in such a sad day in cricket.
But personally, like for the millions, one was a personal hero for you as well. Especially you were, if I'm not wrong, you were there for the 700th wicket of his in the G. But you know the way you celebrated after your first wicket. Uh, uh, just walk us through that moment, especially as the scorecard read. Scott Healy, Bowl King, especially with the name Healy being associated so much with Vaughan throughout his career.
Yeah, look, there was nothing planned in that celebration. It was more of an instinct kind of gesture. Yeah, Shane Warne was a big influence on my life, and I think that delivery was quite fitting. And I hope he was looking down, being pretty proud of how that ball drifted down to leg stump, and then got past the bat. And as you said, the famous name of Healy taking this ball and stumping Tammy Beaumont. I think the whole thing was quite fitting. But yeah, it was, again, nothing was planned or anything. It was just something that was very instinctive, and I just hope that I did the great man proud upstairs.
Indeed, you did. He would agree from there. But let's go back in time. Let's go back to how it all started for you. We know that your parents moved from India to Australia. Then your brothers and sisters of your parents did, and it was a very tight knit community. How was it, growing up in a close family, tight knit community in Australia?
Yeah, so as you said, mum and dad are from Chennai, born and brought up in Chennai, and then moved to Australia in the 80s. And my brother and myself were born in Australia, but we definitely love our Indian roots, and we love everything about it. Whether it's the family or the culture or the food. I love the Indian food, that's for sure, and it's a big part of who I am. So I think we really love the whole family and the big family gatherings. They might be big to some families, but it's just a standard dinner when you have the whole family around, and that's what makes me feel real wholesome, to be around my whole family at those dinners, at whether it's my auntie's or my uncle's house, that everyone's over, all my cousins are over, and you just have a great time, because that's what I grew up knowing, and I didn't know any different. So and when I hear about different cultures or different people not doing or not having such big families, or just a birthday, for example, they only have their immediate family, whereas birthdays, the extended family are all involved. And yeah, I just love those type of things, and I wouldn't have it any other way, because that's what I've grown up with, that's what I love, and that's who I am. So yeah, it's been nice to, come back to actually India, to where the roots are. Obviously, it would have been great to be in Chennai, but we'll take Pune instead. So I love being back in India and representing where, like, pretty much where the family come from. Like, I'll always be Australian, I guess, playing for Australia, being born and brought up in Australia, but I'll always have that Indian connection with my parents and their family.
Even at a very young age, you were into multiple sports. I think you were trying out baseball, tennis, all sorts of sports. So how was that? How did you get into that sort of a culture, and how you ended up in cricket eventually?
Yeah, I think my parents are very supportive, and they wanted us to play sport. Me and my brother, they encouraged us to play sport, and I pretty much followed my brother everywhere he went. So it was first a tennis court, then it was the cricket pitch. I actually did follow him onto a baseball field, because he didn't play baseball, but I just was a very active kid. I loved sport. I'd do anything to play sport if I didn't have to sit in a classroom and study. Study wasn't my. I didn't really enjoy it, but I know the importance of it, and I've gone back to studies as well. So I was just a very active kid, and my parents really encouraged me to try everything I could. And as children, I think it's great that you can try as many sports as you can. It's just the different skills you learn, the relationships you build with people. I think it's got so many benefits in when children participate in sport. And yeah, I encourage every kid to play as many sports as they can, as long as their parents are willing to drive them around. I know my parents, I was very lucky that they would drive me and my brother to all sorts of places just for us to do some after school sports. So yeah, I was always active, and I'll always will be active in just moving around, I guess. So yeah, I fell into cricket just because I played it in the backyard with my brother and my dad. And yeah, as I said, I followed him into the cricket world, and I played at the same junior cricket club that he did, and he actually then became one of my junior coaches, and we won a couple of premierships together. So I guess most girls who have father figures and brothers in their lives and they love cricket, that's probably going to be their biggest influence. So they were my biggest influence.
Wasn't there a moment around when you were 13, when you were asked to take a break from the game? If I'm not wrong, you spoke about it somewhere. How would it all that happen? What was the situation at that point in time?
Yeah, I think it was just, I was very young in the Victorian setup. I was a rookie in the Victorian setup, so I wasn't really sure on what was required of you as an athlete at that stage. And I wasn't doing the right things, but I was too scared to ask questions. I was very young, very shy at that stage, so it was detrimental to me that I didn't ask the questions at that age. So I just went back to club cricket, and I just went to keep on performing. So hopefully I could get selected, and then my opportunity came, and I grabbed it with both hands, and played for Victoria for quite a few years, and I loved every bit of it because they helped me in my development as a cricketer. And then the opportunity to come and play in Western Australia came up, and I thought I'd grab that opportunity to just challenge myself as well. And the opportunity to bowl a lot more in WA was a big, I guess, carrot dangling for me. So I knew I wanted to make the next level, I just wanted to be bowling a bit more. And Victoria were blessed with so many Australian players, so it was really hard to bowl in that side. So for me to take the plunge, go across the country and play for WA. That probably helped a lot. I grew as a person and as a player, and I knew what was required for me to make that next stage. And I've made big inroads, and hopefully I can continue to make inroads in all aspects of my game. And I'd love to be part of the team for a long time if I can.
And then there is obviously the WBBL, which you had been a part of the Melbourne Stars right in the earlier editions. So how much has a tournament like WBBL helped you grow into the kind of cricketer you are, especially the power hitting part of it, which we saw in the last 2 3 years?
Yeah, I think it's, as domestic players, you want to play with as many internationals as you can, and I did. I was playing with some great Australian players in the Victorian setup, and the WBBL just helped, like, I guess, develop the domestic players. When internationals come in, you see how they train, how they go about their game. They can teach you so much, and I learned a lot from the internationals that came at the Stars. And it was Nat Siver, it was Mignon Dupree, it was Georgia Elwes, it was Katie Martin, those type of players, who Morna Nielsen, actually a left-arm spinner at the time, who was the number one T20 bowler. And to rub shoulders with the greatest in the world, playing in your domestic comp, I think it's pretty cool. And I just think it's so important that countries really, invest in their domestic competitions, because that's going to be the next crop of players that are going to be playing for their country. And I'm really looking forward to playing in this T20 challenge in India, and hopefully this leads to a women's IPL next year, because I think the domestic players here are so good, and I think they deserve an opportunity to play in a comp like the IPL and get some internationals in their team, because everyone continues to learn. So we can learn off the domestic players, they can learn off us. It's a two-way street. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for the cricketers of India, especially the women, to get an IPL competition up and running.
We all have been wishing that for a while. You've seen the men's competition here in India, the men's IPL, as big as it is. And how have you been following? Is there any team that you support in that competition? Any franchise in India that you would want to play in the if and when the women's IPL gets kicked off?
Oh, I'd love for CSK, the Chennai Super Kings, to have a women's team, because Chennai's obviously a big part of me. It's where my parents are from. So if they have a team, I'd love to be playing for Chennai. Again, where my roots are, and that will be awesome. But if I had to pick a second team, I'm mates with Glenn Maxwell, so I'm following the RCB quite closely as well, and they've got a great team with Virat in there, Faf and DK. I've really enjoyed watching DK go about his business in this IPL, and I think he's going to be a force to reckon with when it comes to the T20s World Cup selections. I think he's well in the mix of selection, because he's just evolved his game every year, and that's what, as cricketers, you've got to do to keep ahead of the game. And I love watching the men's IPL. You learn so much from them, and it's just entertaining. And hopefully the women's IPL can just be as entertaining as the men's.
I indeed, but I think you would love not just about the connection, Chennai being your, home city. You would also love bowling in the Chepauk pitch, which turns square from day one.
Well, that's what my dad keeps telling me. He's like, if CSK get a team, you surely have to be in that team. Chepauk Stadium is what every spinner's dream. So hey, this is a shout out to CSK to hopefully get a women's IPL team.
Coming back to the World Cup, with such a big tournament, with so many close matches, so many thrillers, and of course, Australia was the one team that was, cruising through all the matches. But there were moments where you were pushed back. There was a fight, and every time there was a need to break a partnership or take a wicket, Lanning was turning to you. How was that, your tournament experience in playing that in the World Cup, and captain turning to you every time the team needs a breakthrough?
Yeah, I don't think each game was a cruisy game for us. There were times in every game that we were tested, and that's the beauty of a World Cup. I've come to learn. you don't play the same opposition every day or every couple of days. So to play a game and then to refocus onto the next game and do your planning around the players who you're coming up against. There's a lot of planning behind the scenes, I guess, and there's a lot of informal chats, which obviously make it so much worthwhile, I guess. And I think the way that Meg threw me the ball, just was really, I don't know, satisfying, I guess, that she had confidence in me in pressure situations, because I love when it's high pressure situations. I think it brings the best out of me, and I love being challenged. I love having the ball in those situations, and it's great that Meg threw me the ball in various situations, and hopefully I can keep learning from that, and take that forward in any situations that I come up against. But yeah, I think it's just I've got full confidence in my game, and I think Meg sees that as well, and the whole team. When I get the ball, I know I've got 10 other mates behind me and backing me in what I do. So it's always great when you've got 10 other mates taking the field with you, and they back you from ball one.
Also, we haven't seen the last of Dunkley Alana King rivalry, have we?
No, I think that's or hopefully that can continue for a fair few years. But I've actually, Dunks is an awesome girl, and I've actually been chatting to her quite a bit over in India. I think there's always going to be a good contest between both of us. I want to get her out. She wants to hit me for 6. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of that in the years to come, and hopefully it's in our national colours. And yeah, it's always going to be a good contest, but she's a great girl off the field, and becoming good mates with her, which is really nice.
You did get a wicket in the biggest day that you've had so far on the field, and it helped Australia win the World Cup. So how was that moment, of becoming the world champion?
Yeah, that the moment that we took that last wicket was, there was just so much joy and excitement around that. I know I was fielding at deep cover, and that ball went up to mid off, and I was just running in because I just knew Ash was not dropping that. Like, she's got the biggest hands going around, and she's got the safest hands as well. And once it's stuck in her hand, I just ran straight up to her and just celebrated, because I've only been a part of this squad for a few months, but I know how much work has gone into preparing for this World Cup for the last 5 years, and for all of us to actually lift that trophy at the end, it meant something really special, and especially for that coaching staff who've been there from 2017 with that heartbreaking loss in that semi-final. So it meant a lot, and I'm glad I was part of it, because that was just such a amazing moment, and a moment that will be cherished by all the team for years to come.
Couple of international tours. You have been named in the Commonwealth squad as well, and then there's the T20 World Cup coming up. What do you want to accomplish? How do you look at the next 8 months or so for your personal career as well as the team?
Yeah, as I said, I like to stay in the present and try to focus on one thing at a time. So this little bit will be with the Supernovas in the Women's T20 Challenge, and I'm going to really enjoy these next, I guess, 10 days with this group. We're obviously here to win, and hopefully we can. We've got a really great squad with Sophie Ecclestone, Sine Luz, we've got Deandra Dodden as well, and then you've got some great Indian international players as well. So I think we're going to be. I hope I don't eat my own words, but I think we're going to be up there in contending for that, like to win the competition. So yeah, it's one step at a time, I guess. Once I get back to Perth, then I can focus on what's next ahead, and that will be the Tri-Series in Ireland against Pakistan and Ireland, and then we'll slowly work in little blocks, I guess, and we've got to tick it off. There's no point looking too far ahead and looking at the T20 World Cup when you don't know if tomorrow is a certainty. So small tasks, small goals, I guess. I'll be ticking off, and we'll just keep seeing where it goes.
Thank you so much, for your time, and wish you all the best for the upcoming Women's T20 Challenge. It's quite packed schedule that you have, neck to neck games and all that. And hopefully, the Chennai Super Kings folks will be listening. We will also do everything we can to get you to come to Chennai and play in the women's IPL whenever it gets started. So, thank you so much for time. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Gomesh. Thank you so much.